I guess the opening question I'm going to throw out there is, why now is the plain dealer reporting things like this?
Well, I would believe, this is my opinion, totally, is that, as you know, all of elected officials before the end of their current term and before the next term of office begins, when it commences, council has the ability and the duty to set salary and conditions for the position before it goes to the voters. And that is just what council has done. They have put forth a pay package for the mayor's position for next year, and that is done in the public with 3 readings of council. There's no emergency legislation dealing with it, and they brought this to city council. When council talked about this in open session, I believe that's when some of the questions and inquiries started from the media and other people that may have been in the audience or heard about it. All of our agendas are online. Everything is discussed at council meetings, such as this type of legislation, in the open, and the votes are taken in the open. So since this process commenced, that's when I believe everybody started to get involved. And then there were various comparisons that were made between my position, others, my salary, others, City of Beachwood, and other municipalities. And from that point, it really has escalated to a point that you know, several media professionals have covered this story, and that's where we are today. So I believe that's the reason for it, for the new legislation that will be put into effect starting January 1st or 2nd of next year for whoever the new mayor is going to be for the city of Beachwood.
On the point of your salary, is it true that you asked council in June to freeze the mayor's salary at its current level?
Yes, that was one of the points that I wanted to make.
Okay.
I did that based on the conversation that has been in the community. I don't want to focus on unproductive things for this community, as I've not in the past taken that approach, but I want to make sure that we focus on what's important for this community. Salary is always very important, let me not discount that, but council determines that, as they have for the past almost 18 years since I've been in office as mayor, in their own way of determining what the salary and the benefits should be. Over the years, I've never told them what to do, indicated what they should do, brought forth comparisons or lists from any other communities. They've done this on their own, and they've made their public announcements, and I accept if I want the position to go along with their program. If I don't, then I have the ability not to, you know, continue in public office. And I've never doubted anything or questioned anything that they've done, nor have they asked my opinion.
Okay, so the outcome of that was your salary will remain the same, or assuming that you are reelected, whoever the mayor is, the salary will remain the same for the next 4 years.
That is correct.
Okay.
They passed that on their 3rd and final reading of the legislation. I would have preferred, as I did, that this controversy over salary, you know, be put aside and let them make their decision. So it was my recommendation to City Council to continue with the salary the way it is, and then move on.
Okay. Now, I did ask a question about your salary, and that was based on your report to the sorry here.
That's okay.
The financial disclosure statement.
Yes.
Which I was able to obtain from the Ohio Ethics Commission.
Correct.
And there, you list a salary of $198,521. Okay. Now that does not match up, and I see there are some notes here, and it says "see me." Is that you or Mr. Path?
No, that's Mr. Path. I
Okay.
believe there's a page attached to that.
Okay.
I took what I did basically is is take the information that was reported from the city on my earnings statement
Okay.
and put that down on my ethics report.
Okay.
And I believe you have the breakdown there of what, I think there's another page,
Okay.
if I'm not mistaken, this.
Oh, okay.
And as you can see,
Uh-huh.
what the salary is based on the legislation for the mayor and safety director. Anything that's added to that as far as compensation for any type of cell phone allowance was all documented here.
Okay.
So that's where I believe this number came up from.
Okay.
That I reported. I did not state that the mayor's salary is, I can't read upside down, the $103,000.
Right.
Because that, although that is purely accurate, I serve as safety director also. So I did combine those two and add all these items that are here to make up my total compensation package, and that's
Okay.
what I put on my ethics report.
Okay, so that does do the breakdown.
The salary
Okay.
for the actual mayor's position is 103,000, whatever this number is that I
Right.
can't read upside down. Seriously, and I serve in both capacities, so it's
Okay.
combined income. And I think something that may have been misleading from the beginning is that the earlier figures reported something as far as close to $375,000, which included retirement and other things that
Right.
were there. They weren't the mayor's salary.
Was the aggregate accurate, though?
I don't know what went into that, so I mean, if you want to consider retirement, Social Security, I
Yeah,
don't know what type
it
of
gives it
benefits.
here, 34,547 for Social Security.
Right.
And 122,336 for public employees retirement system.
Well, those
So-
numbers, I believe, I believe are accurate
Right.
from the best of my knowledge, taken off the forms that I have received
Right.
at the end of the
How
calendar.
how long have you been on Social Security?
Social Security, probably 2 to 3 years, I believe. I think at 65 I took it.
And you're 67 now, right?
Yes, I'm 67.
Okay, so about 2 years.
And how do you respond to the comments that Beachwood had a part-time mayor, and then it was created as a full-time position when you came into office, noting the big jump in salary? Is this common in other communities such as like Avon, which I believe has the same situation? The same mayor was part-time, created a full-time.
Well, I would, I have no problem addressing that. First of all, I'm not sure how Avon is structured. My first experience was some news blip that happened regarding comments from the mayor, so I don't know what their charter is, I don't know what their city government is, and I don't know what their position is at all. And I'm not being naive, I just don't know, but I can tell you about Beachwood because I've been doing this position for some 18 plus years. As everybody is aware, should be aware, I was on city council. I served my time there. I was appointed by council as council president. Unfortunately, when Mayor Friedman took ill, I took over as acting mayor in 1995, and I assumed those responsibilities for that position. There was a period of some unrest in the community then because of some alleged contractor fraud. That was all turned over to the necessary agencies to do a complete investigation, which I was part of that determining and brought to council as far as legislation, working within the administration to get that clarified. When Mayor Friedman moved aside, I took over, as I said, as acting mayor, and it was my position to restructure the government. It was a part-time position before. I thought that the government needed to have a full-time administrator and somebody to be responsible for the needs of the community. Council had agreed with that. It's their choice to prepare legislation, make sure that the charter is correct and proceeds, And they did that. They determined at that time what the salary should be, and there was an open election in the fall of 1995. There were other people, actually 4 contenders at that time, who put their name in to go to the community to be voted upon. By the time the election occurred, the other 4 people dropped off. I ran unopposed. I completed that term, which would have taken, I believe, till the end of Mayor Friedman's term. And then at that point, I ran for the full term of office. There were 2 other people that did oppose me on the ballot. I secured the majority of the votes, and at that time, I was elected as mayor.
Excuse me, would that be 97 then?
I believe that would have been 97, that's correct,
Okay.
because there were about 2 years left.
Okay.
And that's the time the government took on, I would say, a different structure. There was a full-time mayor who was responsible for everything. Prior to that, the former mayor could have other positions that he could hold. This is really dedicated and designed to be a full-time position for the mayor today, which I have been doing. I gave away my outside business interests at that time, stepped aside from anything that I've been doing, and we restructured the government. And that goes back to, as I said, 1995 when all this started to happen. And that's where we are today.
When did you add the safety service position to your title?
It's always been there. It was there before I took over the position. The former mayor was also the mayor and safety director. So it wasn't added, it was combined in the position for the city for the mayor to be the safety director.
How common is that in communities?
I believe it's common in a lot of communities. Very common, I believe so. I haven't done a survey, which is easy to do, but I believe so. Most mayors, especially full-time mayors, are responsible for the entire operation and have some involvement. I happen to have a major involvement in both police and fire operation. It's what I have desired, and I continue to do it, even though it's a responsibility that I did assume. I do that.
Okay. I wanted to ask you about the, it's been reported that you have spent about $18,000. That figure has been out there, I believe, since 2010 on meals at local restaurants, on yourself, people doing business with the city, potential people doing business, and city employees. Is this figure accurate?
I believe that figure is accurate. If it's
Okay.
not on the penny, it's close enough to say, yes, it is accurate.
Okay. And I know you addressed that somewhere in your statement here,
Sure.
but can you just comment on why you feel that is justified?
Absolutely.
Okay.
When I first took over as mayor and we hired, actually council, not me, hired the law director for the city, because based on our charter, the law director is responsible to city council and is hired, retained by city council. Even though I have administrative authority during the day, her position is designed and created by city council. It's always been that way since I've been in the administration. In doing so, when our law director came on board, I wanted to make sure, and so did council, that we were as transparent as we could. Based on the situation that myself and council in the city of Beachwood came out of, where there was some contractor fraud, we wanted to eliminate any improprieties or appearance of improprieties. In doing so, the policy was set, which our law director had stated to city council, and the city council has approved, that there will be no meals purchased for myself or any of the elected officials or positions in the city, such as any directors. There's no gratuities that are given, and we have adhered to that policy. In doing so, council has a policy where they said that nobody picks up the mayor's meals. The mayor picks up everybody's meals that he goes out with, so there is no appearance of impropriety. Whether it's an existing business, whether it's a potential for a new business, this is how we've operated for the past 18 years. And I will tell you, with almost no exception, nobody has ever bought me a meal. And if there is an exception, I can't tell you what it is, because it goes over 18 years, but nobody has done that. And everybody knows our policy, so that's how we do things. And all those receipts are turned in monthly to the finance department. Everything is put on a City of Beachwood credit card, and it's in the file for council to peruse and approve or reject or question anything that those charges are made from or made of. I believe what has happened to get to that $18,000 figure is that the credit card statements that were part of a public records request were given over to whoever has requested that. In some, for 3 years, that amount was totaled out to almost equal, or is equal to, the $18,000, which broken out over 3 years is approximately $6,000 a year. Included in that $6,000 are any breakfasts or lunches that I take somebody in regards to city business out, so there is no impropriety. It could be part of the business community, it could be prospective clients, it could be the directors and board of the Chamber of Commerce. In those credit card statements are any type of meals or food service we bring in prior to a meeting of city council, when we start before the dinner hour and last and don't get out till 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, usually closer to 10. We do provide then meal service. Council has approved that, they know that, and those are all encompassing in that credit card statement. Also, it's been reported that there was a receipt in there from a office supply place for $5 worth of pens. I did do that. It's on a credit card statement. Any supplies that we do use in not just our professional capacity, but any employees at City Hall, we have a purchasing director who purchases supplies based on what is needed in each of the departments within limitations, because it's all stated. I happened to go to an office supply place. I saw something that I liked as far as a writing pen. I'm not going to tell you it wasn't $5, because it probably was, even though I don't have the receipt in front of me. And rather than going through our purchasing agent, which I could have done for anything that we buy at City Hall, I put it on my city credit card. Didn't ask for a cash reimbursement. It's there, it's stated, and that's the purpose of the card, being transparent for whatever we do. And I do use those pens at City Hall, and since that time, before all of this became an issue, our purchasing department does order those, you know, for the city and myself.
How common is this a business expense practice that Beachwood follows with other communities?
I don't know. It's hard for me to, I don't check it and I don't make comparisons. By no means am I going to state or say or imply that Beachwood is better than any other community, because it's not, and I state that. We do operate slightly different than most. Our business community totals about 3,000 businesses here. We have 100,000 people that come into this community daily, or beyond that, and I am very, very involved. So our business procedures may be a little bit different. Not everybody has Fortune 500 companies. Not everybody has two major hotels, two major hospitals in their city. We have several hotels. We're constantly under current development and still have land, to develop. And our business approach is a business approach. We believe that. Can things be done differently? Absolutely. They can be, and business models can change and things can happen. But what I could assure you and tell you that everything that I have done in my term for the past 18 years has been approved either by policy, legislation, and council is totally aware of it and has the ability to question anything as far as any expense or expenditure that I make.
What's the city's annual budget?
I don't want to, excuse me, give you a guess at it because I don't know what at this point includes the investments and everything else that we have, but that's a matter of public record and we could surely give it to you after this interview. I would strongly suggest, rather than guessing at a ballpark number, that you contact Mr. Paff, our finance director. It's been printed yearly, it's been printed on our website, and I believe in all the media that's been covered. So it's not meant to be secretive. I'd rather you have the exact fact, and I don't have it present with me.
On vacation, it's been
Yes.
reported that you haven't taken a single day of vacation from 2003 to 2009, I believe. Is that true?
I believe that is accurate, yes. I have taken vacation in the past, and I'd like to really explain that. You know, my wife and I do not travel. Customarily, we don't. We have a child that is living in a different state, and by no means is this an excuse. It's a way of life. We have decided to do this, and we bring her back to Cleveland numerous times throughout the year whenever she can. She happens to be a professional, and she comes to town, and we enjoy her and enjoy her presence. Doesn't mean we don't do social events, but we don't travel around the world. As everybody is aware, we have a presence for many years in Israel because of business development and what we've done through the Chamber of Commerce. Every year I have been asked and could have taken a trip to Israel based on the city to promote the city. I've elected not to do that and send other representatives. So I've never done that, and you can go back and check the record to see who has gone and how we've been promoting, you know, that relationship with Israel and Beachwood. I felt other people could do as good a job as I did, and I really didn't care to do the traveling. So my job, the way I view it, is slightly different as some of the safety officials in the city are. I am in to the office usually 7 days a week. I can tell you that. The police chief and I and fire chief communicate whether it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, depending on the occurrence in the city. But I am in every Saturday morning, usually, and most Sunday mornings, not past noon if I can help it, in just reviewing and making sure that things are the way they are. That's how I operate. I don't punch a time clock. I never have. I can guarantee that my hours far exceed normal standard hours for any paid person in my position. It can be verified with employees, anybody in the city. People think I'm somewhat crazy if I don't take the vacation. We have a policy in the city of Beachwood for all employees, not just me, that allows for vacation payout at the end of the year. I don't submit a form to say this is what I'm owed. Whatever the finance department does and how they generate their record keeping and bookkeeping, since I am not committed to specific hours, whatever that last paycheck is for the year, they add it into my gross earnings. And they do that with every employee in City Hall, unless you're under special contract by the unions, which may then decide how to handle that. But that is one of the benefits in the city of Beachwood that council has approved. All the salary schedules are approved by city council for everybody in the administration, not just myself. We did a complete salary review to make things even more transparent than they had in the past. We hired an outside executive company to come in and do a salary review as far as positions and salary ranges. I believe the firm that we hired is the same one that Shaker Heights has hired to do theirs, and we passed a procedure. That procedure has not been varied, and we have done that for, I'm guessing, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, I don't know. I mean, maybe even more than that. So that like positions are dealt with as far as like salaries, and everybody works through the range of positions as far as salaries. And when they get to the top of the range, if they meet expectations, whatever the COLA is, then gets distributed to those employees. If they don't receive it, they haven't earned it. But that's how we do things, so it's not haphazard. All our directors and assistant directors are on a schedule, and that's how their salaries are determined. I know it's been written that the person that works close to me at City Hall in my office, Tina Turek, is also compensated according to that salary schedule and other positions in City Hall. And that's how it's been determined, and salaries have been justified.
You mentioned, Tina, it's been reported that several lunches are between Tina and you off-site at Beachwood area restaurants, maybe outside Beachwood. How necessary are those lunches with her?
Well, I think that when you say necessary, I think that's a judgment call, because how necessary is it to take a business out to lunch either, especially if they have no interest or had no interest in the city of Beachwood. It's a professional way of doing business. I want to state for the record that it's just not Tina and I, and all these are numerous lunches, because in my opinion they are not numerous. I'm not going to tell you they haven't happened. You know, this was previously questioned by the Plain Dealer years ago. I met with their editorial board, gave them all the answers that I've given them at the same time, which I'm giving you today, and they accepted that, and that's how it's been. I do go out with some of the directors at City Hall, usually not clerks or people that are not in supervisory capacities, and we can use a lunch for an hour, 2 hours discussing city policy and city issues. We do that, as I do with other businesses, and I have done that, and I've got some suggestions that I am going to impose myself when we get closer near the end of this interview, so I can tell you what those are.
Right.
And these are self-imposed by me.
Right. There've been.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I see that on your statement you gave us, you say, "I will make every effort to discuss more city business here at City Hall. Effective immediately, there will be no more employee-only lunches or meals outside of City Hall." Is that what you're referring to?
That is one of the few things that I have mentioned in that letter. Based on, and I can address it right now as long as you have brought it up. I know that I've been informed, and council is aware, that we are very transparent. We want to do things professionally and legally, and I believe we have. If we haven't, then it's purely an oversight. We are human, and things can happen, but I will tell you that our desire, and it hasn't been proven that we haven't been professional in any capacity there, that we have not approached. I think based on the media that's been out there for the past 6 weeks, there were several things that I have and I'm currently doing. I know that Mr. Horowitz had a list of things that he brought forward in a public meeting. To be quite transparent, I'm sure that everybody else has those same concerns on city council and will address it. You know, it would have been, I think, a little beneficial for council to get together to discuss some of these as a group and get a consensus on this prior to it going out, but it didn't happen that way, which is fine. Every council person has a prerogative to do what they want and see. But I can tell you, based on other conversations with members of council, everybody wants a review and make some administrative changes to do things a little bit differently, because we don't like what is happening in the media now. There's no question about it. Nobody benefits. So what I have done is, first thing I did, as you had stated, was that I went to council and asked them to freeze the salary for the next mayor's term, which they did vote on and do. They also, at that point, decided to, because vacation payout was an issue, they did limit the amount of payout for vacation at the end of the calendar year. They passed that in the legislation for the next mayor, whoever that is. And that was passed, it's legal, it's law, and it's been implemented and signed. So that has already been done for next year. What I am doing for this year is, and I have not made this public until now, that there will be no employee lunches outside of City Hall at the city's expense. Nothing will go on the city credit card as far as any employee at City Hall or a member of City Council. I will not do that. That's my decision. And I have the authority and the ability because I have the use of the credit card. That's, yes. You have a
No, I
question?
just want to, that's fine, all right, that's fine. I want to get back to one thing
Oh,
about
sure.
vacation. How much vacation do you have?
I have 5 weeks paid vacation
Okay.
based on years of service.
Right.
My vacation schedule is commensurate with any employee at City Hall, I believe, no matter what their position is. And we have employees that have earned 5 weeks vacation over the years. And
No, that's-
that limitation, right, is strictly for the, that I refer to, strictly for the mayor's package. Anybody else at City Hall that has the allotted time and doesn't use it, no matter what the salary schedule is, can cash that out at the end of the year, and they do. And that affects, we have over 200 paid employees. So
Does the
this-
vacation roll over?
No, it's paid out at the end of that year. There is no rollover
Okay.
for anybody.
You mentioned 200 paid employees. Have there been layoffs in the city under your 18 years?
I have, in my administration, have never laid an employee off, have never decreased anybody's salary. 1 year, I did freeze all salaries because of the economy was unstable and I wasn't sure where we were going with it. I can forecast a lot of things, but I don't always know what tomorrow's gonna bring. So with that buffer, we froze everybody's salary. And then what we did, along that same line, and I went to the employees and told them this, that if our expectations are met based on income, which it comes from tax dollars and the business community and so forth, that we would distribute a bonus to everybody to compensate for this. And we did this in lieu of salary increases, and we did distribute that bonus.
Do you recall what the average bonus was at that time?
No, I don't, because it depends on your salary and your income level, but I would say that in aggregate, the amount of money that was distributed was probably close to $200,000. Naturally, a director makes more than a clerk, so I would say it could be anywhere between $800 and $1,000, but I'm guessing at that, and I would strongly advise you get that from the finance director. But we did distribute that. That was to freeze the salaries. And we didn't reduce any. We froze positions, so we asked our employees, rather than demanded them to take on the additional work when their fellow workers left. Either they retired, went to other communities, which doesn't happen very often, fortunately, and we assumed those positions. We've even done that in our safety forces, police and fire, which becomes more challenging. And now we're in a process where we're adding police and fire because we're at basic minimum levels to supply what's needed for this community. Within the past 3 years, we have approximately 3,000 plus new employees in the city of Beachwood, and we need to provide those services. We have had that.
Mr.
But,
Mayor, just
okay,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
no, I don't want to lose track of and I will answer every question, and I'll recap everything, what I'm suggesting be done. Yes,
Ned?
Just to clarify, Mr. Mayor, these self-imposed policies for the remainder of 2013, prior to them being enacted by law or legislation according to what council voted on, are strictly, again, just for the mayor, not other
correct.
employees?
No,
Okay.
this is
Just wanted to
strictly
clarify.
This is just for
regarding
the
my
mayor.
position.
Just for the mayor.
Just
Got
from,
it.
yes, this reflects nobody else at City Hall. This is something that I'm imposing on myself, which goes against some of our policy which allows these things to occur.
One could look at these as, quote, remedies. I don't know what you could, they're responses to something. Am I right? In
Well,
other words, are they an acknowledgement of something going wrong?
no, they are not an acknowledgement of anything going wrong. Let me be very emphatic.
Please do.
Because, as I've stated earlier in this interview, whatever I have done in this office with regards to the operation and running of the city of Beachwood has been legally and policy approved by city council, our law director, and I'm acting within those ranges. But based on the outcry from some of the media, you know, it's time that we maybe need to look at our policies and review them. And in my response to that, because this is going to happen, I want to impose some of these restrictions today, because I do have a responsibility as the chief executive operating officer of the city. Mayor, safety director, whatever the title is, at the end of the day, I am responsible.
boss.
So, yes, I am the boss. Sometimes it's, it's not always the easiest thing to be,
Chief
but
Bottle Washer.
yes, I, whatever it takes. No, seriously, but, you know, my intent is to change the atmosphere that's out there today.
Okay.
Because Beachwood is properly run. Beachwood is a good community. We attract a lot of business, a lot of construction. We generate a lot of dollars. And it's my position to take the lead and set the policy. Even though these policies and procedures have been in position and are modified whenever council wants to do that, I still have ultimate responsibility to be prudent with what I'm doing.
Have you brought these before council?
No,
Okay.
no, they're going to be.
Must they be?
No, no, because these are restrictions that I put on which are more restrictive than the policy exists today.
Okay.
Can you comment, discuss the use of the city vehicle for
Sure.
personal use?
Yes.
How common is that with your other employees to have use of a city vehicle for personal use?
Well, I would say that there's probably a couple different categories to look at it. I think depending on the position of those people that do have city vehicles. My vehicle, and hasn't been reported yet, I don't believe, at least in these series of occurrences, is listed as a safety vehicle for the city of Beachwood. I am the safety director. The automobile is equipped with lights, siren, and radios. No matter what vehicle I drive, it has been that way. And that vehicle is able to be used by anybody in the safety forces. Now, I'm not implying that a patrolman's going to be driving my car, don't misunderstand me. But it can be used for various police operations. It has been used on occasion, not regularly, for those type of occurrences that could happen. And that's the purpose of the car. I do respond to emergency situations 24 hours a day, 7 days a week when I'm home. Now, I don't want you to misunderstand this, that every time there's a fire alarm going off or somebody gets stopped or there's an accident, I go. But depending on the nature of it, I do go. And that car is used in conjunction with my responsibilities. The lights are on, the sirens are on, and we use it to block traffic. I've done it several times over the 18 years. The residents of the city know this and understand that. And that car is designated as a safety vehicle.
What kind of a vehicle is it?
Right now, I'm driving a GMC Acadia, which is a mid-size four-wheel drive
That's
car.
super neat.
It's nicely appointed. I'm not going to tell you it's a stripped-down model. But I use this car for more than just a safety car. We do want to attract good business to the city. I do meet with other executives. I take other clients out to lunch or locally. It's needed to be stated that my city credit card and all these meals that we spoke about are strictly lunch or breakfast. They include no dinners, no type of entertainment, and for sure no liquor. And I don't drink anyway.
Okay. Why no dinner? Why no entertainment?
It's my choice. It's my choice. If I were to take somebody to some type of entertainment, I would tell council that we are doing this. I haven't done it, so there's no need to go to council, but I do have the use of the card at my discretion. Council's authority to do this limits the amount of money that's used each month, which I've never superseded. The card, I believe, has a limit of, I think it's $2,500 a month in expenses. If
Does that
I'm not-
include gas?
No, it does not include gas. The card, not the car. The card has a
Oh,
limit of
okay.
$2,500
Oh,
a month. Yeah, I believe it's reviewed every quarter by the finance director and reapproved unless there's a change. And to the best of my knowledge, I don't believe there's ever been a significant change in anything, not the use of the card for sure. Because of no, I don't want any indication of any improprieties. There are no entertainment, there are no tickets at night to go to events or social events. These are strictly lunches, breakfasts, and there is no member of my family that goes on any of these lunches or businesses. It had been reported that my wife received some sort of benefit. That's erroneous, it's not true. I can tell you that.
And just to clarify, you're permitted to use this for personal use also, the vehicle?
Yes, I am permitted to.
So like
but
a
I do-
grocery store run or a drugstore run
Oh, yes.
out of the city?
Yes.
Is perfectly fine because you're on call 24/7?
Well, yes, not only that, but I do pay a stipend as far as my annual income. I pay tax on that because there is some personal use on the car. So our
So when you
finance,
expense, you separate that out?
I don't really, when you say expense, I don't really do it that way because the car has a value that is placed on it by our finance department, and based on the value of that car, a portion of it is designated, I can't tell you the
Business
percentage,
use.
well, the majority of it is business use and some personal use. And whatever that is, I live within, I think, a mile and a half of City Hall. So my commute is not a big deal. But, so I do use the car and I pay tax on that portion of the car that is used for non-business related events. This car can be used during the night, can be used weekends. Usually, I enjoy driving my own car and my own transportation during the weekends. I'm not going to tell you that you will never see me in the city car because that isn't accurate. But I do have a convertible that I use.
I was going to ask
My
you.
wife, I have many vehicles in my possession. I have a convertible that I use. My wife has a brand-new car that she uses, and we go out with evenings and social events.
What kind of car is that one?
It happens to be a new Jaguar, if you want to know the truth. She puts about 3,000 miles a year on it because her commute to work as a teacher is the same distance to the Beachwood school system. But we do have a nice car and we enjoy it.
What's your convertible?
Besides that, it's a
What's-
Thunderbird convertible.
And you have
Yeah.
Vintage or
It's a
second
it's a
version?
second version that I use. Yep, I have possession of that. And I also have 3
These-
motorcycles in my garage that are mine, paid for by me, nobody else. They're mine. And fully paid for, never financed, never borrowed. fortunately.
Mm-hmm.
My wife's car is leased, if you want to know the truth,
Okay.
and that's okay.
What year is the city vehicle again that you use?
The
mostly?
city vehicle is, I believe it's a 2012.
Okay. And how often do you change the vehicle you use? The
Well,
primary vehicle that you use?
The primary vehicle that I use historically has been passed down from my position as mayor to the safety forces or service department in the city. If I'm not mistaken, with maybe one exception or maybe not, every vehicle that I have owned, not owned, the city has owned that I have used in my capacity as mayor and safety director is still within service in the city of Beachwood. Has either gone to the inspectors to use, has either my vehicle, the way it's equipped because of costing situations as far as radio communications, portable radios, wired-in radios, lights, siren, safety equipment, usually is distributed and goes down to the fire chief because my vehicles are kept very, as all city vehicles, are very well shaped. And to take out all the safety equipment and put it into another vehicle doesn't make a lot of sense financially. That package could be $6,000, $7,000, I don't know exactly, but that's an added expense. So my vehicle historically has been going to the fire chief. He takes his vehicle that he has, gives it to the assistant chief. The assistant chief takes that vehicle, when we start the rotation, goes to the fire inspector. And all these vehicles are here, they're labeled. Over the years, according to the way we do this, there is a significant savings by keeping the fleet good, keeping it up to speed, newer, and we have an image in the city of Beachwood also that we don't want cars that are falling apart or rusty being used, you know, when you're in a professional capacity, such as our people are in the city of Beachwood in dealing. I don't want somebody who's in a 10-year-old Crown Vic that has rust on it going over to Eaton Corporation or the hospital to do an inspection. We don't do that.
And these other officials that you mentioned, are they permitted to take their vehicles home to their residences outside of Beachwood and use them for personal use as you
No,
do?
they are not permitted to. I would assume there could be some de minimis use with somebody taking a vehicle home. Our police chief takes his vehicle home. Our fire chief takes his vehicle home. Those are labeled, you know, it says Beachwood Fire Department on it. I don't think he'd want to use it for too many personal things. They all have city plates, which you can spot right away.
Where does the fire chief live?
The fire chief lives in Mentor, I believe.
And the
Yes.
police chief?
Police chief just moved recently out past Chesterland, I believe in Munson.
And he takes the vehicle home and drives
Yes.
it back?
Yes, both of them do, and they use that vehicle during the day for any business that they do, and since that's the vehicle they take home, they are allowed to use it for de minimis use. You know, if they need to stop at the grocery store, drugstore, I'm not gonna tell you where they do or don't, because I don't track it that way. Our other people that have the use of city cars, keep them at City Hall at night. Our service director has a city car based on service emergencies, and his car's radio equipped as the others are for communications. So depending on the nature of the weather, if it's, you know, if we're in the middle of a snowstorm or we've got, you know, a foot of snow, he's gonna be in that day and night, no matter what.
Would you know how common it is for your mayoral colleagues, such as a guy in Westlake or Independence, to have access to a city vehicle?
Well, I would assume they do. I wouldn't want to comment on any other policy in any other community because I don't know it. But I sure can tell by some of the events that I go to that the cars are being utilized. And I don't want to comment on anybody else's policy or any other professional.
Okay. Would you like to speak to the city audits that are conducted in Beachwood?
I have no problem doing that. As I said, Beachwood is a little bit different than most communities. And because of that, and because of the business community and how we want to be transparent, as you are aware, the state does an audit every other year by law. We in Beachwood, with the consent of City Council, have purchased the off-year audit by the state, which means that our books are audited every year by the state. Now, I can't tell you what they test for in compliance, because I don't know that, and it's not my position to do that, nor do I get involved in that. But we pay, I believe, a fair amount for them to come in and conduct this off-year audit. We do get a clean audit statement every year, even in the off-year audit, from my understanding. We publish all that on the internet. We put it in our newsletter to the community, and that has also affected our bond rating, which we are, I believe, right at the top of the list, which most communities are not. And I'm not saying we're better than anybody else, but this is how we conduct business. So we go through that off-year audit. There have been no material concerns from the auditor at all. As a matter of fact, they've been in, they've looked at our books again this year. And from what I understand, we're as in good a shape this year as we were last year or the past 12.5 or 18 years since.
Can you address the tax situation, taxes, and the services that the city provides its residents?
Well, I'd rather not give you exact numbers on taxes because I have a finance director for that, and it's all public information, so we'll supply you with whatever you need because I want to be as accurate as I can. I mean, as far as city services, I believe most municipalities do a great job. We do a little bit more, and we do it for a lot of specific reasons. It's not just the residents that live in Beachwood, although that is very important to me. We do it because we have almost 3,000 businesses in Beachwood. And if our streets are not passable during the winter, those businesses suffer. So I think a lot of the reason businesses move to Beachwood is because we're transparent, we're clean in the way we operate, and they can transverse around the community without any problem, or very minor problem, even in bad weather. Every year it's noted and it's been printed in various media publications that people know when they're in Beachwood as opposed to other communities because of our salt removal. My method even goes beyond that. We want to be good, we want to be nice. But in being one of my responsibilities as safety director for the city, you know, it's my job to make sure we have adequate safety forces out there and they're doing what they're supposed to do. By that, I want you to understand, I do not micromanage any department at City Hall, but I am totally responsible for it. I don't manage the police department or fire department. I have professionals that do that, trained professionals, but I am responsible for what goes on. I know when we do a fender bender or traffic accident investigation during the middle of winter, we are taking that police officer and tying that person up during inclement weather to take that report. If there is no accident, there's no report, that officer is available for other functions in the city. The way we are structured, both police and fire go on emergency calls. Every rescue squad call where we have an officer available goes, because they're out on the road, they can respond sometimes faster than the police department to set up and give directions to the safety forces that are coming. So we only have a certain amount of minutes in an emergency situation to provide life-saving devices to those residents or business people, that 100,000 number that are here during the day. If I have a police officer doing an accident report, they can't be available for something else. We know how critical through the Red Cross and everything that the faster you can respond and perform some type of life-saving device, the chances are that person's going to survive and get better. So I don't want our people tied up on accident reports if possible, and create more use of our rescue squad to not give the proper care to somebody working or living in Beachwood. So that's the reason.
Do you know offhand what the city's response time is for paramedic type emergencies now?
I will tell you, I'm guessing probably 3 to 4 minutes, but we could, naturally, sometimes, it's an average.
Sure.
You know, if we're near somebody, police could be there in 60 seconds, because they're out on the street. You know, I mean, if they're all tied up, and it could take us 3 minutes. It could be, we have arrangements with all of our surrounding communities, as everybody does, for mutual aid, and sometimes we have to do that. And we do call on those people. We only have so many rescue squads available, and today we're planning on adding additional staff, which we are doing now, so we have 3 rescue squads during the day instead of 2. And we are doing that. Naturally, it's a taxpayer's expense.
Okay. Guys have?
Yeah, I
go
had a
ahead.
couple more. You were talking about the state audit earlier, the fact that your city elects to have a state audit every year.
Yes, sir.
Rather than the required audit every 2 years.
That's correct.
There, I understand that an anonymous city resident has requested a state audit of city finances to find out how much money this is being spent in Beachwood. I mean, so it sounds like that's being done anyway, right? I mean, what,
Well, I'm not sure what this special audit requires.
okay,
I don't know what it is. I heard there was an email around, or somebody has contacted, yes, for a special audit.
right,
I don't know what that entails, but I do know that all the reports from the state auditor and everything that we have shows we're in total compliance.
Okay.
And this goes on yearly, so I don't understand the need for it.
okay.
Do you know who was requesting it?
I do not know. No, but I'm sure it's out there. I just don't know, so I'd rather not guess. There's only been a handful of people who have engaged, if you look at the blogs and the internet, that have any type of real concerns that are coming forward. I have in my office letters, correspondence from many people since this happened. I believe the folder is probably about 2 inches thick already, with saying things in Beachwood are great, don't change anything, we support your position, how you run the city, and I believe many of these letters have also gone to other media publications. I haven't seen them printed anyplace else, so I don't know exactly where they are, but I've been told by other business people and residents. These are not just business people in Beachwood, these are not just people who reside in Beachwood, but people outside the community have also submitted letters that we have.
Yeah, that was the direction I wanted to
Oh.
take this part of the interview now, is
Sure.
the community support, the business support, the number of people that are attending council meetings, has that changed? And then your relationship, Mr. Mayor, with the council and specifically certain members of council. So it's two-pronged there.
Sure.
Your community business, which you've somewhat addressed, and then the relationship with council, the new council.
All right, sure, let me try and readdress that based on your question this morning. We are not receiving any type of negative comments from the existing business community in Beachwood. It's just not coming to us, nor have we received them at City Hall. Now, by that I mean, I'm not going to tell you that somebody may not have called with some displeasure, okay? But, you know, when I look at what's out there, I'm looking at a consensus. If I'm judging community support, I can tell you, I believe I have the support for what I'm doing and the way we're running the government and the way council's doing it, because it's been specified that way, and I have those. So I'm not going to tell you based on our interview tomorrow, that there won't be 50 letters complaining. But I can tell you to now, it hasn't happened, okay? That I can tell you. And the second, my relationship with city council, I can honestly tell you over the years that I have never been told no, or any proposal I believe that I brought to city council has been rejected. If there's some modification in something, and I can't tell you what it is, it's been discussed. Nothing has been passed on emergency legislation that I needed to get done for me personally or anything like that. It just doesn't exist that way. So I believe the relationship with city council today is strong, it's good. I am not going to tell you we were all on the same page, because there have been some outspoken members of city council, which, you know, everybody is aware of, and they're entitled to their own opinion. But I can tell you that the majority of council has gotten together and has supported everything that is going on in this community, and apparently will continue to support it, which is very gratifying. You know, because somebody makes a public comment does not mean they're not supporting what is going on. Just like my comments this morning, and I want to get into a couple other things briefly, just by category.
Definitely want to give you that opportunity when we close to have the floor.
Sure. On limitation, it doesn't mean somebody shouldn't speak their piece. They should. I mean, they wouldn't be worth much if they didn't at least say what they felt as a member of council. I don't direct those questions. I don't direct those responses, nor have I ever.
In 2005, there were stories in the Plain Dealer, as you recall, similar to what's appeared now, looking at expense and meals.
Yes.
And at that time, the Jewish News reported that council was quoted as saying they wanted to tighten the belt back then. Was anything done in those 8 years? Because it seems we're looking at tightening the ship now.
By members of council? No, I don't believe anything was done by members of council. I
Okay.
believe in the past and today, I act prudently with the authority that's been given to me by council. So, but no, there hasn't been any policy change that I am aware of and I would be aware of.
Okay.
You know, we just try to make good business decisions. And what has happened, our community is still growing. It
Right.
has grown immensely.
And I'm sure you'll address that at the end with
Sure.
some of the things that have come
Sure.
in and where the city is going.
Sure.
It appears that in 2005, the PD was on a witch hunt when they compared your spending to the Westlake mayor going to Mickey D's for meals. Now it's 8 years later. Why Beachwood again? I believe there's been 4 columns about you in the city, plus a news story, plus a TV, quote-unquote, investigative story. What do you see as behind all this, and how has this affected your personal life?
What's behind it? Well, I can't tell you what's behind it. It's an election year, I can tell you that. I can tell you we've never had a situation like this in my years with the city of Beachwood, being brought to this level of scrutiny, which is, I have no problem justifying anything that I do, the administration does. We've not stepped away from that. Why this is happening, I can't tell you. The facts are the facts. We are working within the policy that city council has prescribed. I'm not dumping on them or blaming them. We're merely exercising the authority that I have, and I do believe I do use good judgment in making these decisions. Anybody can question anything, and they should. You know, I am not immune to people coming to council meetings or doing or saying what they want to. We don't stop anybody. I may agree, I may disagree. That's their prerogative. But I can tell you that, and I believe members that are sitting here today, that are gathered around, have come to some of our council meetings. they're not well-attended, which means that I would assume that the business community and the residents are happy with services. Everything that happens at our meeting is recorded by minutes, is posted, it's on the internet. You know, there's usually one or two people speaking, usually some standard people, not derogatory, positive comments, may have some questions. Today, there's a little more activity because of what's been in the media, which I would expect, but nobody is storming City Hall, and nobody is, you know, out there creating any type of situation in a public meeting. It doesn't happen, it hasn't happened. So, and we like those comments. At times, we often sit there and just look at ourselves doing what we do, because there's nobody to hear about it in the audience.
We talk about this as a perception thing in the newsroom all the time now. How does Beachwood and Mayor Merle Gorden come out of all this, if it's in a week, 6 months after the election?
I think we come out of it very strong, if you want to know the truth. I'm not happy personally. It bothers me. It bothers my family. It bothers this administration and the employees that work here. Even though the residents have not come out vocal, you know, based on a lot of this except for support, I'm sure it's affected them also. What I hope would come out of this is that we're a stronger government tomorrow than we are today. I'm not saying that we're doing anything inappropriate, and I'm not admitting guilt to anything, because I don't mean that. But if we need to tighten up our policies, which council could have done, and I'm not blaming them either, we will tighten up those policies. By some of what I am going to impose myself for the balance of my term, which is this year, it will show a clear direction that we're listening to what is out there and responding to it. This was not authorized by City Council. The majority of council does not know this, but I'm giving you
This document?
an exclusive, yes.
Okay.
Yes, this has not been circulated to City Council, okay? What I have earlier addressed was my recommendation to council, which they took, about keeping the salary the same. And they, on their own, reduced the ability for vacation payouts, which is for everybody in the city, but reflected strictly for the mayor's position. And that has passed.
Just for that position?
Just for the mayor's position. Nobody
So
else.
this does not affect any other city employee?
Correct. This is strictly for the mayor's position for next year,
Okay.
not this year,
Right.
okay?
All right.
As I think that's got to be stated clearly. Now, what I'm going to do in addition to that, okay, is that I have stated and will restate, there will be no employees taken out to lunch on the city card. If I desire to take an employee out, for whatever reason, during the prescribed break time, I will pay for that, which I have the ability to do, and if I want to buy somebody lunch, I can do that. I'm not suggesting that's going to be standard policy, though, but there will be no employee lunches paid by the city that are taken out to restaurants. I will adopt, for the balance of this year, the vacation payout schedule that will be applied to the mayor's office for next year. I will voluntarily do that this year. So I will not cash out more than what the next mayor's position will be, whether it's me running for office or somebody else. Legally and authoritatively today, and our policy states it, which is what I'm under and have been under, I could get paid out for any unused vacation. Since the majority of that is still there, I could do that, but I'm putting the restriction on myself to limit that to what the next position will be. And I think that will be welcomed by a lot of people because they don't understand how you can get 5 weeks vacation paid out. But that's been our policy. So that is the second thing that I'm going to do. Any charitable events, which I have always had the policy and the permission to decide where I go and what I do with that will now be given to council for their approval. And if they want me to go, they will let me know. If I can, I will. If they don't, I won't. And I won't do this on my own without the consent of council. I've got to also tell you, though, that any of what I've been stating here, council has had the prerogative to do this. This is nothing new. These limitations are self-imposed. I want to do this because I want to be able to turn the tide of the negative publicity out there. I will also make a concerted effort to reduce any business expenses. I don't believe they've been excess. Everything has been reported, but I will continue to do that and go forward. So I think what's important, there will be no further employee paid lunches by taxpayers' dollars. I will adopt the vacation policy this year for the next position. Any of the charitable events or paid events that I've been invited to, which there are numerous events, I attend only a small fraction of those events, will go to council for their authorization and approval if they want me to go. I mean, you know, I've done that, you know, during flooding. You know, I direct traffic. I do this stuff. I don't look at it because I'm the mayor, I can't do it. If we need to do something, we get it done. That's not gonna exist after I'm done with this position, I'm gonna tell you. That's history.
When
But
is,
that's just me.
when is your term up? We are back on. When is
thank
your term up?
My term is up the end of this calendar year, 2013.
Have you announced your candidacy for reelection?
I am circulating petitions, yes. Yes, I've got the majority of signatures. Well, I've already have over the minimum of signatures required to file, but I want to go beyond that. So
So
I will
you are
probably.
circulating petitions, but you haven't filed yet?
That is correct. I will
Okay.
probably file them by the end of this month. I believe the deadline is third week in August.
August.
Is that
Yes,
consistent with when you filed for reelection each of the
Yes.
subsequent years?
yes.
How long's the term?
4 years. They're all 4
Do you expect to have any opponents?
I guess it depends how well you write your story. What do you want me to tell you? I don't
No
know.
pressure. No pressure.
I mean, what can I tell you? I hope not.
Great response.
I hope
You're not
not.
aware of any?
I am not
at this
aware
time?
of
Okay.
anybody who
Nobody
has
has
pulled
filed yet.
petitions or even pulled them. I'm not aware of it. Now, that doesn't mean they didn't, but I'm not aware of it. Nobody's saying anything. I believe from what I've been told, every member of council that is running next year is running, or is up this year, is running for the same position that they've had. That includes, from what I've been told, Brian Linick. It includes Mel Jacobs. Mr. Eisen is not declared yet. So that will, I would assume, he'll make a decision shortly. Plus, there are others that are circulating petitions to run for a council seat.
Okay. Do we have any other questions before we allow the mayor to
Leave?
I think.
discuss what he would like?
I'm totally disgusting. I don't want to discuss anything else with you guys.
He thought this was going to be 10 minutes.
I think all my questions have been covered.
Okay. So,
No,
You know,
thank you.
No, we're good.
tell us, this is your time to tell us what you want, that we should know. Also, tell us where the city is going. We know what's happening in Chagrin Highlands. There's restaurants. Take the opportunity, please, to explain, the future of Beachwood.
Well, thank you. I know that we will surpass this short blip in what's happening, in regards to the media that's been focused on the city of Beachwood. We have always been a strong, viable community. Our residents have always supported the administration, not just mine, but previous administrations. We are out there in the business world doing what we should be doing, circulating ourselves, promoting the city of Beachwood. We do have growth potentials, and we are growing in the city of Beachwood. We've got more construction underway today in Beachwood than I believe any other municipality totally, except for possibly the city of Cleveland. We have new hotels that are coming on board. We have new restaurants. There's a potential expansion of Beachwood Place. There are people wanting to move into this community. I believe we had 4 or 5 homes come up for sale this year on Maidstone. Before the summer season started, all were sold. And I don't think they were sold at fire sale, to be honest with you. So the community is strong. I've heard from other real estate brokers in the city looking for people to sell their homes so they could make the sale faster, if they could do it themselves for their benefit. I was told that there are no homes that are moving as fast as Beachwood property. We have no vacant buildings in Beachwood. We have a couple empty buildings that the city has purchased for future use. We bought real estate over the past several years for city use. The city is planning on building a new fire station. We haven't laid out the plans yet, but will be laid out this summer. It'll be on the south end of the city to accommodate all the growing business district that is here. By bringing in 3,000 employees, there's a need for additional services. So we will take our fire station from Chagrin Boulevard, which is very understated because of the growth of the city over the past a couple dozen years, and build a new facility in this side of town to service that. It may be a combined facility which would take into account some police operation and some fire. We don't know yet. That's not been determined or publicized. We have expanded and moved, as you all know, our city service department from City Hall, which gave the potential and growth for our police department that is necessary, and they've expanded their operation in the current facility. The facility that we bought on the Commerce Park Mercantile site, formerly Joanne Fabrics, houses our new city service department with the potential of doing other things out of that building. I don't know it'll be related to strictly business development, but we're looking at that. We're looking at educational institutions that would want to come into Beachwood and partner with us. So that facility could accommodate that. We have purchased a building on Mercantile that was vacant, used for storage, where we anticipate putting a boulevard through from Mercantile to Harvard Road to make sure that the business district has easy access, does not have to come out to Chagrin Boulevard or go down a green, but get onto Harvard, so that it will enable them to get onto 271 or go either south or west. So we can reduce the amount of traffic along Chagrin Boulevard. We've implemented a new traffic signal device, the ITS, Intelligent Traffic System, that we are able to control from the police department for any traffic congestion along Chagrin Boulevard. We've made those improvements. We're adding additional fiber along Richmond Road for the business community. These are things that are really not, even though they're approved, are really not spoken about or promoted, on behalf of the city. But we take the needs of the business community, we look at the needs of the residents, and we respond to them. You don't see any chuck holes in the city of Beachwood. If there is a mishap, we address it immediately. You don't see unfortunately, any dead animals on the side of the road. You don't see signs that are torn down or from a traffic accident. They're fixed immediately. It's the ambiance of the city of Beachwood. It's our Beachwood brand. Our brand is to be ahead of whatever we can and address whatever we need to. And we are addressing the media situation that's out there now. My goal is that we will be a stronger government by making some of these modifications, and I have no problem stating that or admitting it. As we get older, time is more valuable. And to be honest with you, I'd like to have a little more free time for myself. It'd be nice to go out for a social lunch and not have to worry about a business engagement. But that doesn't mean I'm going to give up my responsibilities as the city of Beachwood. I would never do that. But we've got a great community, we've got great businesses, there's a few vacancies, and people are not coming up with a lot of suggestions that, why don't you do this, or why don't you do that, or how do you run it? We're very transparent in everything that we do. Relationship with the business community, with the school system, with other political entities throughout. The city of Cleveland, a huge supporter of Mayor Jackson's and what they're doing, and he knows that, he can tell you. We understand that our community is only as good as what the hometown city is, that is the city of Cleveland themselves. If they fail, we don't have a place to go. But if they stay strong, and what we're able to do to help that growth, we benefit, they prosper, the lakefront and everything that's going on. I mean, we want to be a part of that and grow. First time, with our involvement, the Chamber of Commerce has put a Visitors and Convention Bureau together. I could tell you that we, in past years, have never had all of the hotels cooperate with each other and look at attracting business for everybody. Today that exists. That started about 1.5 years ago with some of the suggestions I made to the Chamber of Commerce and the leadership at that time. And it's happening. New hotels being erected as we speak, and there will be others. I just want to thank you for the opportunity. If you would supply me with another glass of water, I'd talk for another 2 hours. But thank you very much. And I am open for comments, questions, day, night, it doesn't matter when. I've always been receptive to this organization. I think that Ed Wittenberg does a fantastic, magnificent job. I've been a supporter of his for years, even when he wasn't with the city of Beachwood, and he knows that. So
Don't let this go to your head.
you know, I used to think a lot of things can go to your head, but I don't let anything go to my head anymore. But thank you for this opportunity to give you my side of the story, and I know whatever you do, you're going to be fair and unbiased. That's all I can ask for.